On a cold January day with 5 inches of snow and sub-zero temperatures, there's not a lot that can be done in the garden. One job that can be done, and that is preparing the hotbed for the coming season. I've located our hotbed in the small greenhouse, which you can just see there. The hotbed, as the name implies, is a centrally heated bed. The central heating comes from the decomposition of farmyard manure. Right, so I've filled this bed this morning, so I'll just take the covers off. These are some old sheets that I've got, but I just add them for insulation when there's nothing in the bed, just to keep the warmth in there. Right, and I've got a old shower door that I salvaged out of a skip, and I use this as the cover for the hotbed. And if I lift this up, you can see it's full of steaming hot farmyard manure. Now I've got a thermometer in here. Let's have a look at the temperature. So the temperature when I filled the bed was 6.3 and it's now 26.1. So that is a fair amount of heat coming out of there. And when I lift the glass lid, you can actually see the steam forming in the greenhouse. Now, the hotbed is a brilliant thing as far as I'm concerned. Every garden should have one. It's constructed out of concrete blocks. If I step back, you'll be able to see. They're heavy enough that they'll hold the structure together and they'll keep all the farmyard manure in it, but they're light enough that I can move them. The reason I'd want to move them is, as this farmyard manure starts to decompose, the level will drop. And the final level will probably be around about a quarter of what it is now. So as it drops below the level of the top course of bricks, I take those off and carry on going through the season like that. Now I always fill the hotbed in January time, around about the same time that I sow my early peppers and tomatoes, because in 2 weeks' time they'll want to come out of the warm room where they're germinating into somewhere a little bit lighter, like the greenhouse. But also they'll need a fair amount of protection from the frost. So when they come out, they'll sit on top of the hotbed. So it's like a greenhouse within a greenhouse, or a heated bed within a greenhouse, and it keeps the frost off them and allows them to develop early with plenty of light. I also use the hotbed to sow my early alliums, my leeks and onions into, so I use it as a seed bed as well. Once the onions have gone into the main garden and the peppers and tomatoes are in the polytunnel, I then use the bed to plant my main crop into. Now the main crop that goes into the hotbed really needs to be a member of the cucurbits family. Squashes, courgettes, cucumbers, melons, that family. I have tried other crops, but I do find that the cucurbits actually accelerate the decomposition of the farmyard manure, and you end up with far better compost at the end of the year. So as the bed drops down, I take the bricks off, lower the level of the bricks so that the crop in there can get plenty of light and makes it easier to work with the bed. And then after the crop is finished, I leave the contents of the hotbed until early January, where I take out the compost for use in the coming season. Now, it's quite hard to see in this light. This is the compost that came out of the hotbed this year. And as you can see, it has still a few little bits of straw in it. It's still a bit damp, but this will make absolutely wonderful sowing and potting compost when mixed with a bit of leaf mould. So out of that hotbed, I generally get about 5-6 bags of compost. There you can see them all. They're all lined up in the polytunnel now, just waiting for the main sowing to come along, where it'll all get used. So that's a little bit about hotbeds. Like I say, it's something that I champion. I think they're brilliant. They are so useful to keep early crops warm, to use as a seed bed, and then for a rich bed for hungry plants like the cucurbits. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. And this video didn't upload last week, so I bring a follow-on snippet about the hotbed. Now, as you can see, last night we had a good frost. It was -3 here in the garden. Everything's white and covered, and you can see the greenhouse, all the glass is frosted up. Let's go and have a look at the hotbed. The reason I'm looking at the hotbed is because in here I've got my tomatoes, and you can just see them through the glass there. They're all looking very, very healthy. They don't look like they suffered from -3 frost last night. So now what I'm going to do is let's have a look at the temperature in here. Wow, there you go. 15.4 with a low of 14.9. So last night we had -3 outside, but in the hotbed it was 16 degrees. This is why I love hotbeds.